This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one websites platform. Writer's block. It feels like paralysis because it is. You're stuck to the ground. You can't move and you can't let out your thoughts into this beautiful piece of writing. The words are all stuck in here and you know they're there, but still it's hard to get them out. Now, the ugly truth is that you can't become a good writer unless you put the practice in over a long period of time. Those continual reps. Writer's block will hurt that. It will always be there to fuck you up, whether you're a beginner or an expert. And what really annoys me the most is that people think that it's just inevitable in life. Oh, writer's block, come kill me, come take me away. But it doesn't have to be like that. You have control in the situation. You have a certain power over it that is in your hands. And that should be freeing, if anything. I've been writing for a good few years now, almost 5, I think. And obviously that ramped up starting the channel. I get to write all these scripts, newsletters, bigger projects, and all these fun miscellaneous things. And I've even started tracking my word count recently. And I don't say all these things to, flex on you and be this twat, but, I'm just a random person on the internet. I'm just a stranger. Can you not? I can make up lies, I can just Google random tips and then just share them. It's not hard. But I say that because these tips actually come from somewhere. They have a grounds. And these are things that I've used myself to build this writing habit, something that's led to the most fulfilling goals in my life. A lot of writers think that they don't have any good ideas, that there's nothing up here. And maybe that's you. I know sometimes I feel completely empty, like a lobotomite. I just don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, what to write. Nothing's happening up here. That's unfair though, because you do have ideas. Everyone does. The question is, are you capturing them? Because good ideas are kind of useless in the shower or on a walk. But if you were to put out your notebook and write them down, or your favorite note-taking app or something like that, then suddenly you've taken that idea and made it useful to you as a writer in the future when you get around to it. The good ideas are already there because you took the time and effort to actually lock them down and make them concrete, rather than just a passing thought in your head. Now, you can rely just on your memory, but that's a dangerous game to play. You might be disappointed, you might forget things. It's just not worth the risk. If I have a good idea outside, I like to record a voice message to myself, or even just write it down on the Notes app, or a notebook or something. Anything to capture it. At home, I like to keep pens and Post-it notes all over the place, so it's always within reach and it's always convenient to just jot something down and deal with it later. I also like to jot down any main points I might have for that idea, just to give me a sort of structure to work with in the future. For 30 seconds of extra effort in the present, you really help yourself so much when you come to sit down and write it. And I can promise you that because everything I write nowadays is based on a plan I wrote months ago. And it just gives me that scaffolding to work from, and it's so easy. So the next time you have a good idea, capture it, because it's going to help you later. No matter how great your writing is, it can only help other people if you have a way to showcase it. And that's where Squarespace has really helped me. Right now, I use it as a convenient home for all of my past writing. And that works if you're running a blog, a newsletter, or even writing content for your business. The drag and drop editor makes it super easy to be creative with your design, even if you have no past experience in this sort of thing, like me. I created my website in just 1 or 2 evenings with Squarespace, and I'm super happy with it. And if that still seems too daunting, then you can use the AI website builder to give you a template based on your suggestions. Or you can just pick from all of the pre-made variants. There's so many to choose from that I'm sure at least a few are going to suit your style. If you want to go a bit further and actually start to make a living off of your writing, then you can set up a paid blog, you can sell digital products, or you can even host a mailing list, all on your Squarespace site. And of course that comes with a nice detailed analytics page to keep track of it all. So when you head to squarespace.com, you can use their free trial to actually design your own website. And then once you feel ready to launch it, you can go to squarespace.com/Odysseus and use code Odysseus to get 10% off at checkout. So do have a look, I love it and I'm sure you will as well. Creation breeds creation. Sometimes the only way to know what to write about is to start writing. And I know that sounds like a stupid paradox, like, oh, you're homeless, just get a house. But I promise you, it's not like that. It makes sense, just hear me out. When you start writing, you start thinking too, because in a sense, they are one and the same. Whenever you touch an idea on literally anything, I mean anything, You are putting your foot through the door of that topic. And from there, you have new connections, you have new questions, you have links to other topics you could write about. You have a next step of some sort. Let's say you're interested in art history as a topic, and you're completely stuck on what to write about. Well, you could begin anywhere then. And I picked this topic precisely because I know shit all about it. And that gives me, an easy way to demonstrate how this works. I could start by writing about when did art begin? Who were the big figures that, revolutionized art? Or how can we judge art? Anything like that. It could be 1,000 other questions. Now, what you write here doesn't really matter. It might not be your proudest piece. It might not be something interesting. It might be kind of dumb, obvious, beginner level sort of stuff, but that doesn't matter. The point is you are putting your foot forward and, giving yourself a trunk to branch off of. Those 2, 3, 4 paragraphs you've written could be total garbage, but within them, during the writing, you discovered maybe 10 other ideas you could touch upon or expand on or, link to. And you can only get there by writing in the first place, by unlocking that first step. I think of it almost as a warm-up. You start writing so that your mind can start thinking, which then allows you to write something more profound, something more unique, interesting, maybe something you're more proud of. So if you're stuck on what to write, just write something, anything, and it could lead you to a better idea. I wrote an entire newsletter entry on this next point because it really is that important, even underrated as well. Now, it's easy to think that to get inspiration for your next piece of work, you have to go out there and live this grand adventure. You have to do all the crazy things, you have to not miss out on anything, and the whole spectacle. I used to think that. And in fairness, it's not wrong, because doing exciting things will enrich your life and that will give you inspiration. But many writers, they break their own legs because they think that that's the only way to do it. That in order for inspiration to come, it has to be extraordinary and spectacular, above, the normal mundane life. In reality, inspiration is found everywhere. Every street, every room, every day. And if that sounds a little bit bizarre, then it's probably because you're missing it and you're letting it go completely over your head. Great artists observe the world around them. When they go outside, they see how the light hits objects and how it behaves. They see how textures appear. And they look at the perspective of the buildings and all of these different things. One of my friends who's a film student said that he can't help but analyze a movie when he watches it, because that's just how his mind is, wired to think. He has to notice the plot, well, not the plot obviously, but the lighting, the cinematography, the acting. And he's just got a finer eye for these things than the average person. And I remember when I wanted to become a designer about 2 years ago, I always found myself staring at shop signs and adverts, just trying to see, what fonts are they using, what colors are they using, why, how are they trying to present themselves as a brand. All of these little things that are normally irrelevant, but someone with an interest or an understanding can spot them. All of these small details, whatever you're looking at, are invisible to the average person, and yet they can tell a whole story. And that story it tells could be the inspiration for your next piece of writing. In terms of writing, it could be the things you see people doing, the conversations you have with people, or making something exciting out of the ordinary, because that is what a lot of writers do. Now, that's good on its own, to just be aware of this. But if you want to truly apply it and make it more practical, then you need to find a way to capture it with intention, similar to the ideas before. This can be in the form of journal entries about something interesting that happened that day, about a conversation you had, even sketches, Arthur Morgan style. Just in a way to train your eye to be more observant of the details. I've neglected it recently, but I used to write these short stories about things that happened during my day. And, it doesn't have to be as long as mine, of course. That's a bit over the top. But anything to help you be intentional and live in the moment. It might seem mundane and a bit pointless in the moment, but it could inspire your next piece. Even many months in the future, you never know. Fear holds writers back. It's true. Whenever I'm writing, even today, I have doubts floating in the back of my mind, always. Is this cringy? Am I just wrong? Do I sound stupid here? Will people even enjoy what I'm writing? All of these things are haunting me in the back. It's a lot of weight to bear when every single sentence you type is going to be judged and criticized, even by yourself. And for many writers, the easiest solution to that is to just not write at all. If there's nothing there, there's nothing to criticize. And you can shield yourself away from all of those, bad feelings. But the real failure is walking away from a 2-hour writing session with just 3 sentences complete. That's the real pain. The solution is not to stop being critical of yourself. We need that. But what you have to do is block out the critic's mind for now. You have to tell him, piss off, get out. You have to lock the door and say, I'm not going to listen to you right now because I have to get my first draft out. In the first draft stage, we don't need that critic mindset breathing down our neck, looking over our shoulder, saying, oh, I don't like how you've done that. You could rewrite that better. Oh, that's a bit weird sounding. It's like, shut up, man. Not now, your time is later. Instead, you ignore your own criticism and you just let it out. Just get the first draft down. And you have to accept that it's not going to be your best work. It's not going to be the most polished it could be. And that's okay because that will come later. For now, this is just, the first ground that you can work on. Only once you finish your first draft can you switch to the critic mindset. The work is done and now you have the time to be patient, to be analytical and even a bit harsh on yourself. That being said, you have to commit to this switch because the critic mindset is going to end up, killing off sentences, changing words, changing the structure, and that can come into conflict with your writer mindset. The writer's mindset is attached to the first draft. I wrote that, I put the effort in, so I don't want to see it changed. But it has to be changed in order to improve. So in short, you have to be both a writer and a critic, but not at the same time. Because the critic will stop you from writing, and the writer will stop you from changing or editing. And it's about switching between those mindsets depending on which stage of the writing you're in. And that's where I'll end the video. I had loads more points, but it would be too long otherwise, and I'll save them for, maybe a part 2 or 3 even, because there is so much you can do to fend off writer's block. And, I'd love to hear what you do, because, there's so many solutions that are very personal and kind of out of sight in the general conversation. So if you share it, it's going to help others, it's going to help me even, and, we'll help each other grow in the comments. Even email me if you want. My email's in the About section. I try my best to respond to everything. And let me know if you've used any of these tips in your own life to some success, I hope. Or even not. Maybe they didn't work for you and it was actually something else that got the job done. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it.